Guess who's paying for dinner? James Boateng. Guess who's paying for dinner? James Boateng. James, I hope you're listening. Guess who's paying for dinner? James Boateng. When I was in UNT with my friend James, every time we went there to I help to go eat, we decide who's gonna pay by playing FIFA game because James was really good at playing FIFA. I always lost. Anyway, because of that, I'm always losing and always paying for dinner and higher for the girls. Oh, did I just say for the girls? Let me still say that because Sonia is probably listening. All right, James. James, let's not get in trouble. But the point I'm trying to make is you're paying this time because I'm going to use my almighty power JavaScript. I've got the power. So let's say you go out with your college friends or friends outside of college, and everyone is feeling generous and wants to pay, and you can't decide who should pay, or everyone is broke and they're hoping they don't have to pay. So it's time to just pull out a quick JavaScript code to just do a little thing here and do a random search to see who's gonna pay. All right, so let's call this who's paying for dinner, right? Who is paying for dinner, right? So we'll start with a variable. Let's call that variable like paying person. Now let's just call it payee. I think I could do that. Payee, like who's paying. And we'll create an array. So this is where you put the names of whoever it is on the table that's going to be paying, right? Now, in my case, it's just going to be this four of us because I want to like go back to college days and make sure James pay. I'm just kidding. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start by saying, let's start from the left, Philip. And then we'll go to, let's see, who's next? What am I doing? Philip, and then we have myself, Dapo, and then we have Jason, and then we have James. All right, so in this case, we already made this list. Now, you can always add to the list by going directly to type into the payee, or you could do like a push in to put stuff into the array. But let's just leave this at that for now. Well, now the other thing we want to figure out is how to do the randomness, and we already know the way to go about that is math.random. So math.random should give us a random number between 0 and 0.9 and 1. So but it goes as high as 0.999, never reaches 1. But we want something between 0 and 4 in our case, or depending on how many people you have in there, just to make life easy for you so you don't have to keep coming back, write 4, come back, change 5, change 6. You don't want to do that. We're just going to do the length of the array, right? So payee.length, right? And that's not what I should do. It's not, I wanted to multiply that. There we go, multiply payee.length, right? So pretty much, I'm just going to space this out because I like to see that cleanness. All right, so we're multiplying it by payee.length. So now our number should be between 0 and 4 because we have 4 in the array, but never gets to 4, more like 0 to 3.999. And if you have 6 people, it's going to be the same thing, gets to 5.999. But we don't want decimals, and we don't want it to go as high because when the computer looks at your arrays, it goes from 0, 1, 2, 3. So technically 3 is the highest number we get here and not 4. All right, so to do that, we know we use math.floor, right? So math.floor pretty much approximates down. I'm just going to put this in the parentheses here. And pretty much, I think this should be sufficient to tell us, give us a random person whenever we're looking for it. So for this, let's just call this the who, for example, right? So because this would give us a number, so variable who. So this would give us between 0, 1, 2, 3, right? 0, 1, 2, 3. So you can test that out. If I go, just gonna put an alert here to tell me what who is, right? And just if I run this right now, it's gonna give me 3. If I do it again, it should give me a different number, 1, right? So it's gonna just keep running between 0, 1, 2, 3. All right, so but that's not what we need. So let's take this out. Now, the next thing is instead of giving us numbers, how does it give us a name? So what we would do instead would be to alert a payee, right? It's gonna give us the payee and the who. So this time around, it's actually telling us a name. So instead of saying 0, it would say Philip. Instead of saying 1, it would say Dapple. All right, so let's run that so you can see Jason in this case. All right, which would have been equivalent to a 2. James, who's paying for sure, which would have been equivalent to a 3. All right, but this is kind of like boring. This has to be fun, right? We have to make it fun. So let's add something else to it. Let's make you guess name, right? So variable, and we'll call it a guess name, right? So that way you can interact a little bit here. And the idea is we're gonna make this a prompt, so you get to put a name in there. Prompt, guess who is paying for dinner. And this is looking funny because it's a string and I'm not putting in a quotation, so let's fix that. And quotation, guess who's paying for dinner. All right, so this would be the prompt you get, and then you would get to put a name, and then it's gonna give you who's paying for dinner. So let's click enter, for example. Guess who's paying for dinner? If I say James, who I want to pay for dinner, it's just gonna respond by saying Dapo. Really? You got jokes, computer, right? No, that's wrong. I'm sure James is gonna get a kick from that. Dapo is not paying, James is paying. That's the whole idea of this. All right, okay, let's stop there. So that's how that would go, but still, I feel like it's still not fun enough. So let's do something with this. Let's create a function because, hey, when you can, always make a function. It's fun. All right, so function, we'll call it who is paying, right? So now let's put some conditions here. The first and most important condition is that I don't want to pay. So anytime it gets to me to pay, I want to make sure James is the one paying. So I'm kind of like putting my own little cheat code here so no one else knows, but every time James is paying when it's supposed to be me. But hey, let me give them a hint. So I'm going to create a condition saying if the payee who, right, meaning if one of the names or the strings in the array turns out to be me, Dapo, what I want the computer to say or return is, well, should I let it say Dapo who, or, well, since you're gonna guess who's paying, I'm just gonna put something more like guess name. I want it to say guess name plus who, so it's gonna say something like Dapo who or James who. Wait, but then I want James to really pay. So I really want James to pay. All right, let's just make it say Dapo who, right? Like, who's Dapo? Dapo who? James, the Ghanaian sensation, is paying for this dinner. All right, let's even make it more emphasized. Is definitely paying for this dinner. Dapo who, James the Ghanaian sensation, is definitely paying for this dinner. So by putting Dapo who, that kind of hint you what's going on, that's the name that was supposed to come up. But I'm just gonna leave it at that. All right, then let's make this so that it doesn't totally ignore what you're saying, your answer. So let's put an else if. Else if the payee who equal to your guess name, right? So if you guessed right, I want it to acknowledge you for doing a good job guessing, right? So then it should say return great job, right? Great job, you guessed right. Then we'll say James, let's put a full stop there, and then we say guest name or payee who, whichever one would work in this case. Payee who is paying for dinner. Okay. And the other condition is cause where you guess wrong. And so we'll just make that an else statement. Else, I want it to say, oopsie, you got it wrong, you guessed wrong, right? And who should we, and right, guess wrong, then it should say who's paying, right? Which in this case would just be payee who as well. Payee who, and I used the wrong brackets. Payee who, whoever the person is paying for dinner. Okay, I think we should be good to go with that. So pretty much it's saying, if it's me, it says Dapper who, even though you would give a prompt. So if you say Jason and the answer is Dapper, it's gonna say Dapper who. That's just to give you a hint that the answer should have been me, not not James. But I want James to pay. All right, I think we're good to go with this. Let's run this out. Guess who? Make sure everything's looking good. I think we're good. Else. All right, now let's alert back this function, right? So function, actually, I don't know why I keep doing that. Who is saying who is paying, right? So that's the function. I'm gonna alert, and we should be good to go. All right, James, you should be paying. All right, so let's click enter. It's gonna ask me guess who's paying for dinner, and I'm gonna guess James because that's who I want to pay. And it says Dapper who. James the Kenyan sensation is definitely paying for this dinner. So that's what I mean. Technically, that should have responded Dapper again. The computer wanted to play that joke on me again, but this time I got it, right? Dapper who? James the Kenyan sensation is paying. All right, let's run that one more time. See, this time around, let's guess Jason is paying, right? Jason is paying. What? Why is this computer trying to make me pay? Okay, let's try again. I'm gonna try. Let me try myself this time and see what it's gonna say. Okay. Oopsie, you guessed wrong. Philip is paying for dinner. All right. So this time around, that I put myself is saying someone else is paying. All right. One last time. Guess who? Who didn't I try already? Oh, I think I tried everyone, but let's try Philip again. And great job, you guessed right, Philip is paying for dinner. So pretty much this is just to add some fun to the code, so you could use it as you like. Of course, you can always add more names to it if you have more people, and reduce the number of names if you don't have enough people. All right, so that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. As always, if I find something fun or something I think will be helpful or functional, I'm gonna make a video on it. See you guys next time.